Hi everyone. I want to talk about forgiveness today. There's been a theme coming up this week, and I think it's important to talk about the power of forgiveness, why it's important, and how I have found I am able to get to a place of forgiveness. Because let's be honest, it's hard to forgive someone, especially if you think that they've hurt you. And the story that comes to mind is the story about the relationship with my mum. So I don't really feel like I had a childhood. I've been working since the age of 8. My mum's second husband was schizophrenic, and I've been helping her raise her kids. I'm one of 7 children. So by the time I got to my teens, and I started feeling a little bit resentful that I felt my mum kept making mistakes that I had to clear up. So I became the parent in the household really quickly, and I didn't like that. So I was cooking, cleaning, helping my siblings with their schoolwork, all of that stuff. And I was missing out. I saw that my friends were hanging out, they were enjoying themselves, and I was at home being grown. And yeah, I started to build a little bit of resentment in me. And then I went to university and had to work a 40-hour-a-week job. And if I'm being honest, the resentment got worse because I met kids at university whose parents were giving them an allowance to go to university. And I'm like, hold on, I'm working 40 hours a week as well as going to university to send money home. And you guys just get to receive money from your parents? Something's not right here. And that's when my relationship with my mom started getting a little bit intense, because I was pretty much kind of shouting at her to just be the mom and fix up. So in my early 20s, I fell into depression, and being a self-identified strong woman, it was really hard for me to accept that I was depressed. It made me feel helpless. So I tried to take my life a couple of times unsuccessfully, thank God. Otherwise I won't be here, and I'm happy to be here now. But coming out of depression, my levels of anger and resentment were so high because I felt like the only reason I was depressed was because of the role I was playing in my family, for my family, and I was blaming them for it. I was like, my mom didn't allow me to be a child. Could she possibly feel comfortable as a mother letting me take on the amount of things that I took on? I felt angry towards my siblings, and I realized that I kind of wanted her to take accountability. And the more she didn't take accountability, the more pissed I got. I tried cutting her off, I stopped speaking to her, and I was like, what is gonna make her just say sorry? Sorry is all I need. And eventually I realized I wasn't gonna get that sorry. So if I wanted to feel peace, like this resentment and anger and frustration and obligation I was putting in myself led me to being depressed. So holding on to resentment wasn't actually serving me. And I think that's the key thing about forgiveness, right? You've ingested the poison. So all of that anxiety releases negative emotions that then release negative chemicals, which then cause dis-ease. And in my case, it led to depression, but for other people, it can lead to disease, you know? So when we hold on to anger and hurt, we feel like holding on to that kind of makes that person accountable for the pain that they've caused, but really it's hurting us. So there is a personal benefit for forgiving and letting go of all of the hurt and pain that you're carrying. But how can you? How can you let go of it when the pain feels so real? So I want to share the key things that I did to move through my hurt and anger and resentment and get into a place of peace. I was in the Landmark Forum, and they were going through a process, and I started replaying my mum's situation in my mind for the first time. I think we all have an idea of how people should be, right? My mum should be the person that protects me, is the person that should take care of me, is the person that should soothe me when I'm upset, etc., etc. And at the time, I felt like she was failing on all fronts. But then when I replayed her story and realized, hold on, she's also the first daughter of her family, and she had to go to university at 14 years old, and she was staying with an uncle. And she told me that she had to leave the uncle's house and was getting charity from local families while she finished university. And I'm thinking, why would you have to leave your uncle's house? And later on, I found out that she was sexually molested by her uncle. And then she had to go home at 18. And then she had the responsibilities of educating her younger brothers and sisters, which means putting them through school. And then she married my dad at 20. She got pregnant at 21. So she's had it pretty tough. And then while she was with my dad, when I was 6 years old, she went from living this opulent lifestyle to having to move to London. And I started to realize, wow, I have not been able to get into her world. I was so frustrated with who I thought she should be that I wasn't able to see who she was. And that realization just allowed me to have a little bit more compassion for her. And where I was judging her as being weak and incapable of stepping up to the role of mother, I was able to let that go and see, like, wow, she is really strong, because even though she hasn't shown up in the way that I want her to show up, she could have given up. We could have been in foster care, we could have been given to the state, and we weren't. She stuck it through everything that she went through, and was still present. So it doesn't excuse the things that I went through, but it allows me to gain a little bit of context in terms of what she was dealing with and why she might not have been able to show up the way that I would have liked her to. So being able to get in someone else's world and truly understand their intention and understand what they're going through and the emotions that they're harboring helps create understanding, which doesn't necessarily excuse what they have done or how the way that they show up affects you, but it allows you to soften in terms of understanding the circumstances in which they showed up the way that they showed up, and understanding that it may not have been intentional. It might just have been a byproduct of what they were going through. The other thing that allowed me to move further into forgiveness with my mum is that I looked at who I was, and there are a lot of things I like about myself. I like the fact that I'm caring towards others. I like the fact that I'm independent. I like the fact that I'm resourceful. I can be thrown into any situation and figure it out. And had I not had the circumstances I had growing up, albeit not ideal, I wouldn't have been able to develop those skills. So I had to kind of step back and think on a spiritual level, if I was put on earth, or I decided to choose to have a human experience to learn certain lessons, I chose my mum and I chose the circumstances to give me the pain that I went through in order for me to build the skills and resilience that I did in those circumstances. So she's absolutely perfect. She doesn't need to be different. And when I told her that, because I shared that with her, I was like, Mum, I've been angry with you, but I just want to let you know that I forgive you, because I realized that I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have you as a mother and I didn't have the circumstances. As soon as I forgave her, guess what happened? She said sorry. She said sorry. And I didn't need it. So, yeah, I think looking at the things that you've gained, which can be hard when you've gone through things, but if you can truly look at how has this shaped me positively and look at the lessons that you've gotten, then maybe you can be grateful for the experience. Again, easier said than done. But whenever I'm hurt by someone, the two things I try to do is get into their world, and instead of projecting that their intention was malicious and mean, try to gain understanding. What is their journey? What is their intention? Where were they coming from? And then the second thing that I do is try to reflect on why I had to go through that. Why did I need to experience the things that I experienced? What did I learn from it? What can I learn from it? How is it going to help me grow? And then that makes me kind of live the belief that I have that everything is happening for me, which then just means that that person is a gift to me in my journey of spiritual growth, that it's teaching me and reflecting to me the things that I need to learn. So those are the two things that support me in understanding how to forgive and why to forgive. So hopefully that helps you in terms of letting go of whatever it is that you're holding on to that is causing you dis-ease, because I don't want you to manifest disease in your life or to carry this burden that is slowly kind of weighing you down and killing you and affecting your relationships moving forward. So what would you like to let go of? And how can you apply the 2 steps that will enable you to forgive? Can you get into that person's world and understand their perspective? Again, it's not excusing it, it's just allowing you to gain context. And number 2, what has that experience taught you, and how can it expand you as an individual so that you can become a better person and take it into future experiences? Remember, you're more powerful than you know. I wish you ease and grace. If you want more videos like this, please share with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. But like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. And I will see you in the next video.